Hello Mom Dad Meet World. So I want to talk about the M4 Mac Mini. We've used it now for about a week. We've used it a lot within that week, and I want to talk about it just a little bit. So here is our configuration. We had got the pretty much base M4 Mac Mini, so 10 CPU cores, 10 GPU cores. The only thing we had upgraded was the storage. You can buy all of these directly from your local Apple store or your local Best Buy, depending on where you are at. So we went from 256 gig to 512 gigs for the storage. After doing the restore or reloading all the applications I normally use on here, we were about 300 gigabytes. So I was thinking maybe I could get away with 256 gigs, save a couple $100, but sadly I cannot. I don't want to have the computer keep offloading and then reloading applications and files that I need back to the hard drive. So that is a configuration that we had gone for. So I will tell you, we are coming from the 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gig M2 Mac Mini, which we had used for quite a while, and going to this configuration again with 16 gigs of RAM as the base model, thank goodness, and 512 gigs also now that we opted to get. That was a little upgrade over the base model. So I can tell you right away, it does feel snappier, and I think it's because of that increased single core performance. Feels snappier over the M2 Mac Mini that we were using. Just as a little FYI, we are not going to be going into any of like the benchmarks like Geekbench or Cinebench or any of that. You can find a ton of those benchmarks and those and that type of information all over YouTube quite easily. I just want to talk about a little bit of my use case, which might be your use case too, but I do use Microsoft Office, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. I use a little bit of Slack, and then remote desktop work, and then a little bit of Pixelmator Pro, internet, email, and then we do use Final Cut Pro, and then we also use Sony's Catalyst Browse for a little bit of video stabilization with our Sony cameras that we are using. So the toughest two tasks, bar none, are going to be Final Cut Pro and Sony Catalyst Browse. With both of those, this computer is absolutely silent. I do not hear the fans one bit. So compare that to our 14-inch M3 Max MacBook Pro. We have a bin model. The bin model is 14 CPU cores, 10 of those being performance cores, and 30 GPU cores. It remains quiet during Final Cut Pro, but with Sony's Catalyst Browse, it is very audible. The fans do get a little bit on the louder side, and I can actually physically look over at the battery percentage. I can see the battery percentage drop every time we are using that particular piece of software. I will say, with all of the fan noise and with it eating through that battery, it does stabilize the video clips about 3 times faster than on the M4 Mac Mini. And I'm gonna probably equate that to having more CPU cores, but also having more GPU cores, 30 GPU cores as opposed to 10 that are found on this particular model. So I want to talk a little bit about the video export times. I do use Final Cut Pro. We've upgraded to Final Cut Pro 11, and it takes about 1/4 of real time to export a video with the M3 Max. So 1/4 real time. So a 6-minute clip is going to export in about 1 minute and 30 seconds, which is really darn good. But on here, I was really surprised because I was looking back through some of our M2 Mac Mini stuff, and export time was a little longer than about half of real time. But with this, we just made a video on the OWC external 4TB SSD that we use, and that 11-minute, 12-second project took about 4 minutes and 30 seconds, a little under, and that is really, really impressive because I was expecting it to take around 5.5, 6 minutes or so, but with this, I was really surprised it was actually half of real time, and that is working with this Sony H.265 footage. So overall, I would say that the M4, whether you get the 256 or the 512, or you want to custom configure your own model, 10 CPU cores, 10 GPU cores, and the 16 gigs of memory all work very well hand in hand. I would say it is a very competent, very capable computer. Will it do everything that our M3 Max will do? Yes, I believe it does. The only thing that the M3 Max does a bit faster is going to be the video work. So another question you've got to ask yourself is, will this computer work for you? So with this computer and with this particular setup, I've got a CalDigit TS3 Thunderbolt 3 dock hooked up to it, an older wired Apple keyboard, Magic Trackpad. This is the Lightning version to Apple non-Retina Thunderbolt displays. I also sometimes use a Logitech mouse. So if you factor in that we spent about $10 at a thrift store for the wired keyboard and the mouse, and then the two monitors themselves cost about $150 with the Thunderbolt 2 to Thunderbolt 3 adapter to make it usable with the USB-C plug. We actually didn't do too bad here. It only starts to add up when you start to add up like the Thunderbolt 3 dock, and then if you want to get external storage. But you're going to add that up with getting any Apple configuration, whether it be an Apple iMac or a MacBook or MacBook Pro. The thing is, if you're going to spend quite a bit of money on your display, your keyboard, your mouse, then you might want to consider truly getting like an iMac, because an iMac will have everything all in one, or even something like a MacBook Pro. If you can find both of those on sale, and it really depends on your configuration, but if you can find both of those on sale, it might be something to consider. And I say that because a MacBook Pro will have the same performance, but it'll also have an amazing battery life with an option to hook up, you know, your monitor and anything else that you would like to hook up with that you can pretty much hook up to this computer right here. So that has just been our experience, my experience. It's been about a week. It's been phenomenal. I do believe we are keeping this because it's just been a great little desktop performer. I was just really surprised how quick it took for the export, and yeah, I'm amazed. I don't know if it's a Final Cut Pro 11 thing with the optimizations there, but it was just much quicker on the export than I thought using Final Cut Pro 11. So if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, comment. It all really helps out our channel. And until next time, thanks for watching. Bye for now.